Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to jump right into a big one, Dr. Jordan Peterson's bestseller, 12 Rules for Life. We're going to break down the core ideas into a super clear, quick guide. So let's start with a kind of wild idea, right? The philosopher Soren Kierkegaard, he actually predicted that as life got easier, people would start to crave difficulty. They'd cry out for it. And that's the perfect way to think about these rules. They aren't simple life hacks to make things easy. No, they're necessary challenges you choose to take on to make yourself stronger. Okay, so we've broken the 12 rules into a 3-part journey. First, we'll talk about mastering yourself. Then we'll get into navigating the social world. And finally, we're going to tackle some of life's deepest truths about suffering and meaning. All right, let's dive in. The whole philosophy kicks off right here with something Peterson calls individual sovereignty. And what does that mean? It's really about taking radical responsibility for the things you can actually control, and that always starts with you. So these first few rules are basically a personal call to action. Take rule 1, stand up straight with your shoulders back. It's not just about posture, right? It's about physically embodying confidence to face whatever's coming. Then there's rule 2, treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. That's huge. It means actually taking your own potential seriously, not just letting yourself slide. And rule 6, man, that's a powerful one. Set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. It's this great metaphor for just focus on what's right in front of you. Get your stuff together before you try to fix everyone else. And this leads to a really crucial idea in rule 4. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Think about it. This is a direct strategy against envy. Because when you look at other people, it's so easy to fall into bitterness and resentment. But if you focus on your own progress, just being a little bit better than you were yesterday, that's the only game you can actually win. Okay, so once you start to get your own internal world in order, where do you go from there? Well, the focus naturally shifts outward. This next set of rules is all about how to deal with the messy, complex world of our social lives. Now, listen, these rules aren't about just being comfortable. Rule 3, make friends with people who want the best for you. Sounds nice, but it really means finding people who will demand the best from you, who will push you. And rule 5, about not letting your kids do things that make you dislike them, that's about being a responsible guide so they learn how to act in a way that the rest of the world will actually welcome them, not push them away. But how do you even engage with other people properly? Well, it all starts with a dose of intellectual humility. And this is where rule 9 comes in. It's about recognizing your own unbearable ignorance. Think of it this way. Everything you know is like a tiny island, and everything you don't know, that's the vast, endless ocean all around it. And realizing that, well, it leads to this incredible shift in perspective. If you go into every conversation assuming the other person knows something you don't, then suddenly every single interaction becomes a huge opportunity. You can literally walk away from any chat a little less ignorant than you were before. Now that's where the real growth is. All right, for our final section, we're going deep. We're going to tackle the most profound rules in the book. These are the ones that deal with the really tough stuff, the unavoidable reality of suffering, and how you find a meaningful path forward when the world is just challenging. And right at the heart of it all is Rule 7. It's so simple but so powerful. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. Basically, it's a call to aim your life at something bigger, a higher purpose, instead of just doing what's easy or feels good in the moment. But wait a second, that raises a huge question, doesn't it? If you're going to build your whole life around pursuing what feels meaningful, how in the world do you know if your internal compass is even working? How can you trust that feeling? Well, the answer, according to Peterson, is in Rule 8. Tell the truth, or at least don't lie. His argument is pretty straightforward. When you lie, you mess up the one tool you have for figuring things out. You corrupt your own judgment. So if you want to be able to see what's truly meaningful, you have to start with the truth. And this whole idea of facing difficulty head-on, it's not just for us as adults. It's absolutely crucial for how we raise our kids. And that brings us to the core of a really interesting one. Rule 11. Don't bother children when they are skateboarding. Okay, so what's the deal with that? The point is this. Skateboarding, or really any risky play, is the kid's way of voluntarily facing a challenge to get better, to build competence. And when you step in to stop them, you're not protecting them out of love. You're actually stealing from them. You're robbing them of the chance to develop the courage and independence they're going to need to survive in the world.
Okay, and finally, what happens when life just completely falls apart? I mean, really falls apart. A tragedy, a terrible diagnosis, a dream that just crumbles. And you are left there with absolutely no idea what to do next.
This is where Rule 12 comes in. Pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. It's a beautiful metaphor for what to do in those moments. When the future is just too big and scary to even think about, you have to narrow your focus. Bring it all the way down. From years to months to days, maybe even just to the next minute. And in that tiny little window of time, you look for the small, good things that are still there. You appreciate those little moments of grace.
So we'll leave you with this. The core message of these 12 rules isn't really about finding an easier life, it's about finding a meaningful one. And that meaning, more often than not, is found when you decide to voluntarily pick up a heavy burden and carry it.